welcome to Game Theory. Also, I know this is technically a game theory, film theory, and food theory at the same time considering the topic, but let's just dive into the theory already, shall we? So let me ask you something. Have you ever seen separate characters from different pieces of media that oddly look like each other? Let me give you an example real quick. Right now, I'm going to give you 4 fictional characters. Chuchel from the 2018 point-and-click comedy game of the same name, Grape from the Kellogg's Fruit Twistables commercials, Larry from the Fruit Snackia commercials, and Hydro from the 2016 animated web series Hydro and Fluid. Now tell me, what do you notice in them? If you said that they look alike and have the same facial structure with the eyes and lips, you're correct. But that's just the surface level stuff. Anybody with half a brain can notice this. But what if I were to tell you that despite their differences in species, they're all related to each other? That's right, they're cousins. And if you think this is just some weird coincidence, well, you are wrong. Because this goes far deeper than you believe it goes. There's this subtle but deep connection buried beneath the cherry on top, so hear me out for a bit. First off, let's start with the obvious before we get to the deeper parts of this theory. Notice how they're all short? Chuchel is short, Grape is short, Larry is short, and Hydro is also short. They're so short that most of the time, the weapons they use are comically larger than them. The hammer Chuchel uses in that one Whack-A-Mole level, the hammer Larry uses in the claw machine commercial, and the weapon he stole from the Minions in the Minions commercial. In the Tropical Storm commercial, Grape is seen with a hammer that is way larger than him, following the pattern that you've been seeing so far. So we're seeing similar genetics here. But what if we look away from the characters for a bit and focus more on their originating media? You see, Chuchel, the Fruit Twistables commercials, the Fruit Snackia commercials, and Hydro and Fluid all have slapstick humor, preferably targeted against the main characters. Go play the game, go see the commercials, go watch the show. I guarantee you that the characters that this video is about will suffer from an injury every few moments. It's as if it runs in their family. But the similarities don't stop here. You know how Chuchel, the game, has no actual dialogue? Neither does Hydro and Fluid nor the Fruit Snackia commercials. We never really hear them actually talk. Sure, the Fruit Twistables commercials do have dialogue, and Grape is able to talk, but what if he just understands the English language, but never really fully learned how to speak it? I mean, we rarely see him utter a full sentence before getting squished for the 50th time. Most of the time when he talks, it's just small phrases.
Oh, get it! Oh no!
Back to the topic of slapstick, another thing they all have in common is how they all exploded at one point in their respective stories. In the forest level from Chuchel, if you feed Chuchel the green spiral fruit followed by the blue bean, he will grow to a massive size and get exploded by the giant hand. Grape dies in a similar manner in one of the Fruit Twistables commercials after he eats a triply sour Fruit Twistable. Not to mention that he and Chuchel respawn in the same way. Larry also suffers an explosive death in the Sponge Out of Water Fruit Snackia commercial after he makes himself a bit too buff. And Hydro explodes in the Hydro and Fluid episode CO2 Handmade after he gets a large amount of carbon shoved into him. Like, what the crap? The last 2 characters didn't really come back to life by magically regenerating in the sky, but what if they did, and it was simply off camera? I mean, why do you think they returned in the next commercial and episode and looked perfectly fine? Sure, you could say that these are just coincidences, but what I found next tells a different tale.
Coincidence? I think not!
You see, Chuchel loves cherries. The plot of the game is literally about trying to retrieve that red, juicy little fruit. Chuchel's species are shown to also like fruit, as seen in the ending of the game. But you know who also craves the taste of fruit? Larry. I mean, everyone in Fruit Snackia does as well. They're always eating each other. Grape himself is a fruit, hence his name. And he was seen eating a Fruit Twistable at one point, along with his other fruit mates. Hydro once put a fruit in himself at one point, specifically in the episode Density. Yes, tomatoes are technically fruits, not vegetables. So as you can see here, they have a shared interest. As you've been seeing so far, it is very likely that they are related to each other, considering the similarities. But you may ask, If they're cousins, how are they able to see each other and be connected to each other if they're from different universes? Well, it is shown in a commercial that there is a forest in Fruitsnackia, where Larry, Lloyd, and Linus go camping. And you know what also has a forest? Chuchel, and it's in the 10th level of the game. And it's the same level I brought up earlier. Fruitsnackia also has sentient bunny things that eat Larry alive in the claw machine commercial, which parallels the level in Chuchel, where Chuchel is eaten alive by a bunch of ladybugs. The first few Fruit Twistables commercials take place in a nearly empty landscape, where Sergeant Twistable trains the fruits to become the only fruit snack with 3 bendable tasty twists. Does that sound familiar? That's because a lot of the levels in Chuchel take place in a nearly empty landscape, just like the Fruit Twistables commercials. There's also plenty of Hydro and Fluid episodes that take place in a nearly empty landscape, mimicking everything else I just showcased in this point. Oh yeah, not to mention some Fruitsnackia commercials take place in a white void, and nearly all of the levels in Chuchel also take place in a white void. It's as if the universes are connected to each other, or perhaps they are the same universe. You know that one level from Chuchel where he finds a giant cherry and tries to eat it only for it to come to life and eat him? A certain ad campaign that is involved in this theory also had a sentient cherry in its commercials. That's right, it's the Fruit Twistables commercials, with the character Cherry. Not to mention that they look kinda similar to each other, which could imply that this is either her mother, her older sibling, or a close relative in general. So what I could gather from this is that Fruitsnackia is somewhere far away from where the fruit camp is. And those landscapes you see in Hydro and Fluid could possibly be the same landscapes from Chuchel, just at a different time of the day or year. So not only they look like each other, they share interests, they have similar genes, and not only that, they're in the same world and could see each other anytime they wish. If you think about it, they could have a picnic together in that Fruitsnackia forest with some cherries, Fruit Twistables, and some fruit roll-ups. Only if they don't get eaten alive by that tree. Wait, I just got an idea for a drawing. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, fun fact. Did you know that MadPat canonically played Chuchel before on his GT Live channel?
Mine was like the color of that cherry. Oh, it is a bomb! It is a bomb!